After so many months away from school due to the first lockdown, things are a little different. The staff are working hard to keep us all safe and still teach us what we need to be successful in the future. Every year group is in its own bubble with its own yard, staggered break and lunchtime and own door access to school.
Every year group has its own designated toilet facilities. Cleaning around the school is constant. After classes move around and use break and lunch facilities, these areas are cleaned, ready for the next year group to use.
When we enter rooms, we have to hand sanitise and clean our desks, chairs and computers. Obviously, moving around isn't allowed and we stick to the seating plan the teachers have for us.
There is, in most classrooms, a 2 metre marked space for the teacher, but in those rooms where this can't be done, they have perspex screens to work behind.
Should anyone show signs of infection, there is a special holding area for those with suspected COVID-19. The staff have and continue to develop online learning through Teams, YouTube and other digital methods.
It is good to be back in school, getting the support, expertise and guidance from the staff. Things are different, but as a school community and school family, we can help everyone in school and out to stay safe and slow the spread.
Hello, thank you for joining our virtual presentation. The purpose of this is to give you an insight into what this academic year will hold for you and for your child. I'm joined by colleagues from the leadership team who will talk you through different elements of the next 9 months, and I'll hand over to them shortly. But first, let me reiterate what I said when I wrote to you at the end of last week. It has been great to be back in school after such a long time out during lockdown. We missed the children, and although some of them won't want to admit it, I think they missed us too. To prepare for coming back, we had to make a number of changes to the routines and fabric of the school to make it as safe as possible to return to. Some of these changes are quite significant. We now have year group bubbles. We have the same start time, but all year groups are on different yards, so they enter the school via different doors. We have staggered break times. We have staggered lunch times. We exit through separate doors at the end of the day. The toilets have been allocated to specific year groups at specific times of the day, and there is enhanced cleaning at the end of each break and lunchtime to prepare them for the next group. We have 2 metre markings in classrooms indicating a teacher-only zone. We've placed perspex screens around desks and workstations where 2 metre distance can't be achieved. All students clean their desk at the start of every lesson with antiviral spray. We've placed hand sanitisers in every room and office space, and we ask students and staff to sanitise their hands regularly. We have a special COVID-19 holding area for suspected cases that present during the school day. These are just a few examples of the changes we've made, changes that are here for the long term, I suspect, while we're learning to live with COVID-19. And our students, your children, have coped with these brilliantly. Anyway, that's enough from me. I'd like to hand you over now to Mrs. Hoyle.
Thank you, Miss Asquith. It's great to have been able to welcome Year 10 students back in September, and students have now started their GCSE curriculum following the compulsory subjects as well as the 3 subjects they chose as part of their options. In lessons, teachers are now starting to address any gaps in knowledge which might have been caused by the school closures as a result of the national lockdown before September. But it's essential now that all students are engaging fully with the GCSE courses, both in the work that they complete in school and in the work that they're expected to complete at home. Monitoring students' progress is an important aspect of what we're doing, and we're doing that constantly. We'll send home the formal data captures in February and July, and these will be shared via Insights as they normally are. We hope to be able to offer parents even at some point during the school year, but obviously due to COVID restrictions, we need to look carefully at the format of how we do that. And once we've got more of an idea, we'll be able to share that with you in due course. Ms Asquith talked about the adaptations we've had to make to school to make students safe, and they've also had to be done to lessons. So just a few of them are things like seating. All students must face the front. Seating plans are in place so that we know where students sit should we need to track and trace. Each bubble, so each year group, has got separate resources, and we're avoiding activities in lessons which could increase the transmission of COVID. Staff have reordered some of the curriculum content so that it makes sense, so that we've plugged those gaps that I talked about earlier on. And we're also looking at ways we can support students who are required to self-isolate. So that might be in the form of live lessons or in resources shared via Teams. I'm going to hand you over now to Mrs Pilkington and she'll give a little bit more information on those. Thank you.
Hi, my role in school is to ensure that there is high quality teaching and learning. I wanted to talk to you about how we are ensuring that your child's education isn't going to be affected during this current pandemic. We've adopted what we call a blended learning approach in school. This means that there'll be a combination of remote learning that takes place online and also lessons that are taking place in class. It's really important that if your child is required to self-isolate, that they check their normal timetable every day. They'll be sent a message through Teams which will tell them what they're expected to do. This will be a combination of things that will happen throughout a day. We endeavour where possible to teach using remote learning. This means live lessons that will be delivered through Teams. However, it's not always possible to do this. Your child might also be sent a pre-recorded lesson that their teacher has recorded for them, or they will be directed to resource booklets and activities in the Teams area that they'll be expected to work through. These will be self-explanatory and your child should be able to work through them independently. A few people have asked us, why are we using Teams? Well, it enables us to deliver live lessons to students at home in a safe way. Students can communicate with staff and they can receive replies really easily. It's quite easy to send a message via Teams and it takes only seconds to do. We can also, as teachers, give them really clear instructions and we can send them messages as to where to find work and what's going to be happening during the day while they're self-isolating. It's also a fantastic resource for storing lessons, and all your children's lessons will be saved in the Teams areas in the class resource files. It enables us to set lots of tasks for them and they can complete these tasks, send them back to them and teachers can mark them. You need to understand how to use Teams, and the best place to start with this is by going to the school website. If you go to Ashton's website, you will see that there's a home learning tab. All the information that you need regarding working from home during self-isolation is in this area. In there, you'll find a number of different things, which I'll talk through for the rest of this PowerPoint. But if you go right down to the bottom, there's a support page that you can fill in. You can use this if your child's forgotten their email or they're having trouble accessing Teams. The most important bits in the home learning area are the latest communication from school. In there, you'll find any information that we've put in there regarding self-isolation and what your child will be expected to do. And then also in this area are Teams user guides. These are really self-explanatory, step-by-step guides that students can use and parents to help them guide them through using Teams. You need to make sure that you're clicking on the right one because Teams looks very different on a laptop than what it does on a phone or a tablet. So please make sure that you're clicking into the right area. When you go into the self-help guides, there's a number of things that you'll have on there. The most important bit for lessons is the calendar area at the bottom. So you will see at the bottom of here, there's a more button and all the information that you will need for starting lessons is in there. Another thing that students are struggling with is using Word and PowerPoint if they're on a tablet or if they're using their mobile phones. When they go into an assignment section, it will automatically ask them if they want to download a Word or a PowerPoint app. All they need to do is click on this, which will take them to the App Store, download the app and then sign in using their normal username and password that they use in school. This means that it will then be a free resource and they'll be able to use those apps throughout their lessons. Easier to use Teams if you download the app. You will be given this option on the first occasion when you log in. Each class has its own area. Sometimes you might hear these being referred to as channels. It's really important that when students are in live lessons, the first thing that they do is they turn off their camera and their mic. There might be odd occasions where they're asked to turn their mic back on. For instance, if a teacher is doing a question and answer session or if they want to speak to your child directly. The chat bar should only be used to ask questions related to the lesson. It shouldn't be used for anything else. It is really important that students check regularly throughout the day because teachers will be sending them regular updates on what they're expected to do. They can also contact their teachers throughout the day, but they do need to bear in mind that some teachers will have classes and that they might not be able to respond to them straight away. And can you also be mindful of contacting staff outside working hours? They need to enter a live lesson through their calendar. If they enter in any other way, they won't end up in the right lesson. And if you're using a mobile phone or a tablet, as I've mentioned earlier, it's really important that you download the Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. Otherwise, you won't be able to use the system. Okay, if I just refer you back to the school website now and a few other areas that might be of interest to you. So we've got Office 365, which is where you would enter and sign in for Teams. And you've also got Show My Homework, where you can click in here and it will take you straight to Show My Homework. When you enter into Office 365, a screen will appear that looks something similar to this. Your child just needs to add your normal username in there that they would use to sign in at school. And then a second screen will appear which asks them to enter their password. Again, they just need to use their password that they use when they're in school. When you get into Office 365, there are two places where you can join Teams. So in the top left-hand corner, there's the 6 dots. If you click in there, it will give you the Teams option. Or at the bottom, there's a little Teams icon as well. Both of those will take you directly into Teams. Okay, just wanted to talk to you a little bit about homework as well. There is a little bit of confusion at the moment among some students about where homework is set. The easy answer is that everything that is set for homework is done on Show My Homework. It's a little bit like a planner or a diary. So your child every evening should be checking Show My Homework to see what work has been set by their teacher. We do also use a number of apps in school, and these are specific to certain subjects. So your child needs to be aware of which apps they are using in their subject areas and how to log into those apps. Thank you for listening. I'm going to pass on to Mr. Clark now.
Hi there, my name is Mr. Clark, and I'm here to share with you the curriculum of our personal development, behaviour and welfare. So I'd like to start off by just discussing the importance of good attendance. So being in school for at least 97% of the time gives your child a better life chance. It gives them the ability to achieve their full potential, have better career prospects. They are able to learn how to look after themselves, be healthy, grow in confidence, keep up to date with schoolwork and homework, and continue to build socially maintain their friendships. Obviously, as students have days off school, their attendance drops. And although something like 90% might sound like a really high total for attendance, actually it means that, as we can see by our diagram, on the orange block in the middle, they would have missed 19 days worth of school that particular academic year. Now, here at Ashton, we do expect that every child attends for at least 97% or above. But if your child is unable to attend for school for any particular reasons, then you should always contact us on our attendance office on the telephone number on screen. As being a member of Ashton, we expect everyone to be proud of our school, and we want to be a school to be proud of. So we have to instill that ethos into every particular student. Now, how can that student demonstrate that they are being proud? Well, they do that through 5 main areas. Number 1, they're punctual. This means being on time for both school and lessons, noting that missed opportunities take us further away from our success. They have to be responsible, taking ownership of their own actions throughout the school day. Being organised and ready to learn from minute 1 through to minute 60 every time they get that opportunity to do so. Taking pride in the uniform, making sure that their uniform is perfect and representing that Ashton family well. Finally, to be determined, commit every time to everything that you do to achieve the best that you possibly can do. Now, we like to reward students here at Ashton's for students that go above and beyond and they do the right things on a daily basis. And for us, if you're perfect all of the time, that is going above and beyond. And the way that we do this is we reward students with smileys. Now, smileys can be earned both inside the classroom and outside the classroom. It could be on the playground, or it could be after data drops and data captures following assessments that your child's completed. Now, how do students achieve smileys within the classroom? Well, we like to think about our Ashton mantra. Now, students are always rewarded for good behaviour, but they need to know what we as teachers are necessarily looking for. And we do that by thinking about our attitude to learning. Is it positive towards the learning? Are they striving to succeed and to improve themselves? Are they learning the subject-specific skills? Are they gaining those academic skills that they require in their wide range of subjects? Are they helpful to the wider school community in and around and outside the school building? Are they achieving their targets? Are they exceeding their targets? That could be a way that they could be rewarded with a smiley. Are they organised and ready to learn, like I've already said, with the correct equipment and resources from minute 1 right through to minute 60 within their lessons? And finally, are they just completing the work and being happy that they've done that? Or are they striving for the next challenge? Are they asking for something else to do, to push themselves, to make sure that they're achieving their potential? Unfortunately, on the opposite side of things, we do also have a behaviour policy, and sometimes students will step out of line negatively. And the way that we go about correcting them in these instances is that inside the classroom or anywhere else within the school building, we will generally hand out warnings. Now, warnings could be for any particular examples of behaviour, but there are some listed on the screen there. Inside the classroom, the teacher will politely remind them with a warning and explain to them what they've done wrong and how they need to correct their behaviour. If that behaviour persists, they'll get a C1, which is just down our middle column there on the screen. So we have a 3 strikes rule after that, where the student would get a C1 the first time, a C1, a C2 the second time, before then finally achieving their 3rd strike, their C3, consequence 3, and they'll be removed from the classroom. Each C1, C2 consequences. Moving on to our pastoral team. Now, we have a dedicated pastoral team, and that was created to ensure that all members of our school community are able to succeed both inside and outside of the classroom. The team supports and works with students and families to maximise the learning for individual students. We also control the development of a whole school approach to overcome learning obstacles and improve students' participation in the classrooms and throughout school life. All of the team are great role models and know how to motivate students to achieve excellence and ensure they maintain the high standards that we expect within school, but also the wider community. Now, each year group has a dedicated progress leader based in or above room 7. And the students' progress leaders will mainly support you and your child with their attendance, behaviour and any welfare issues that crop up. They take a positive and active lead in promoting the progress of their year group, and all 5 progress leaders have an extensive experience working with students and building positive relationships with home. The team aim to identify and solve problems before they arise, and communication is key to this. So, as you can see on the screen, there are lots of ways that we can get in contact with the school, and I know that previously we may have used the telephone, and you may have been able to ring your school up and to explain that situation. Due to the current climate and with COVID, we're experiencing adaptations to our current model, and we're requesting that you should email if you do have an urgent pastoral message, and those email addresses are up on the screen there. So depending on what year group your child is in, that's a particular email address that you should contact us on. We have a 24-hour policy that we will always return any urgent bit of request within 24 hours, and we'll get back to you with hopefully an answer or to be able to inform you about what we've done about your request. Finally, I'd like to talk to you about student support. Now, again, at Ashton, we feel it's important to develop and support learning both inside and outside the classroom. And sometimes some students need some extra support from not just their class teacher, but from a wide variety of other members of our team. Our student support team is specifically there to support and develop confidence and skills to manage their emotions, hopefully providing them with a toolbox of strategies to use throughout their life. Obviously, positive mental health is essential to personal well-being and happiness. It can make the difference between thriving or surviving, and it's a fundamental in helping students to fulfil their learning potential. To support students and equip them with essential life skills, with a knowledgeable and experienced team who sit behind our pastoral team, to be able to support students in developing their emotional literacy and enabling them to reflect, learn and have an awareness of their positive mental health. Now, I would like to talk a bit more about self-support here. Now, students are able to refer themselves if they feel like they're struggling. Sometimes students are very good at keeping their emotions within and within. And we're very much now aware that that's not necessarily the best thing for them to do, and we're always on hand to be able to talk to them, or if we aren't available and they don't feel comfortable with that, they'll be able to seek their own support. Now, I'm just going to come off my PowerPoint for a second and take you on to our school website. Now, our school website offers every student the ability to self-refer and gives them a particular area so that they can do their own research and find out what best way to support themselves. Now, if I go to the school website here, ashton.lancs.sch.uk, and we bring up our school website, and you can see on our homepage we have a bar along the top about us, parents, curriculum and students. Now, if I click on the students section, there's lots of different options and lots of different icons in which students can go to receive information and help and guidance. But the one I'd like to talk to you today about is the wellbeing support. Now, on this webpage, we can find lots of information in regards to that may help your student, your child or the student, depending on what particular problem they may have. Now, first of all, there's a link here to an accessible webpage for families and students and professionals on how to be supported during COVID-19. And if I just take a second by clicking on this, you can see that this is set up by Lancashire Emotional Health in schools and colleges, and it's in partnership with the Lancaster University and Lancashire County Council. Information about who they are and what students can do to be able to support themselves. If I jump back to our school website, looking down further, there is some information on the secondary school summer pack. Now, obviously that was when we were in a full lockdown, but much of the information on this still relates to information that the students would find helpful today. Finally, we have a long list of different external agencies providing telephone numbers and websites where they may go to receive further support. The final thing that I'd like to draw your attention to at the very bottom of this page is a pastoral support self-completing form that students are able to refer themselves in if they think that they might need some additional support. And that's one way that we can go about, if they don't feel comfortable coming directly to the team, that they can message on that and we can approach them to be able to offer them that support. So thank you very much. That's my section done. And I'd now like to pass you over to Miss Connon. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Miss Connon, and I'm going to talk to you about the feedback from our recent parental questionnaire. Thank you to those parents who submitted their responses. It was lovely to see so much positive feedback and appreciation for the support that we've put in place to continue your child's learning when they can't be at school. It also highlighted some barriers for you as parents and for your children, and our aim is to make sure that we can remove as many of those barriers as possible moving forwards. One question was around how students can access teachers and ask for further clarification or help around their home learning tasks. As Mrs. Pilkington has explained, each student has a subject class Teams group, and within this group they can message the teacher and the teacher can respond. This can also be used for any questions students have around homework, or alternatively they can use the Show My Homework app. Mrs. Pilkington also commented on the number of apps used. Each app has a specific purpose, and unfortunately we don't have one app that can cover all subject material. You also mentioned the lack of ICT or computer access. We do have a limited number of laptops in school which are available for short-term loans for those students that we send home as part of a bubble that need to self-isolate. We have a very small number of laptops available for longer term loans, and these will be issued on a case-by-case basis with contact with your progress leader. Currently, we're investigating a leasing scheme which has a monthly subscription. When we've got more details, Miss Asquith will write to you to inform you. To make contact with the progress leaders to discuss any of the IT loans, please use the email address that Mr. Clark has mentioned earlier on, yearx@ashtoncsc.com. One of the main barriers that you mentioned in the feedback was keeping your children motivated and on task. Last week in assemblies, Mrs. Pilkington has outlined to all year groups the importance of continuing their learning if at home so that they do not lose any time. She's also given them a number of strategies that they can use to keep them motivated. One piece of advice was to keep to school routines, so to follow the normal school timetable, including breaks and lunches, and have those at the same time. That will help keep that structure. We've also put a video link on our home learning webpage just below the team's booklets. It might be an idea to watch that along with your child so that the messages that we have already passed on are reinforced, and that may support you. Before Christmas, we'll send another parental questionnaire via text for you to complete. It's really important that we use your feedback to make sure that we're supporting your children correctly. I'll now pass over to Miss Asquith.
Thank you for joining us. If you do have any questions as a result of what you've seen or heard during this presentation, then please get in touch. You can find contact details on the school website. Thank you.